Hey guys, this is Will Doggett, Director of Training and Development here at MultiTracks.com, and today we're going to take a look at how to use an audio interface and a MIDI controller with Playback. Before we get started, let's take a look at the things you're going to need to make this happen. So very first thing is an iPad or iPhone running Playback Premium. Now for more information about Playback Premium or to start a 30-day free trial, make sure to head to MultiTracks.com/playback. The next thing we're going to need is an audio interface and our Apple 3.0 camera adapter to connect that to our iPad or iPhone. For more information on how to connect that and the other pieces you need, make sure to check out our previous how-to video on how to connect audio interfaces to Playback. Now, when it comes to our MIDI controller, it really depends if our MIDI controller sends USB or 5-pin MIDI. If it sends 5-pin MIDI, we want to make sure we have a 5-pin MIDI cable. If it sends USB, then we want to make sure we have the USB cable that comes with our MIDI controller. Lastly, if our audio interface doesn't have either a USB port that will accept MIDI or a 5-pin MIDI input, then we're also going to need a powered USB hub that includes the power adapter, the hub, and the USB cable that comes with it. So with all of that, let's get started. So very first thing I want to talk about is if my audio interface does have either USB connection or 5-pin MIDI connection. In the case that it does have 5-pin MIDI, then we want to connect the MIDI cable to the MIDI out of our controller and then to the MIDI in of our audio interface. And then we want to connect our audio interface to Playback. Once your audio interface is connected using the camera adapter and the 5-pin MIDI cable, then you'll be able to use your MIDI controller with Playback. Now, if your MIDI controller requires extra power, then make sure to use the power adapter included with that to provide power for that. Now, if your MIDI controller doesn't send 5-pin MIDI but sends MIDI over USB and your audio interface has a USB MIDI input, then you're going to connect the USB cable from your MIDI controller into our audio interface. And then finally, we want to connect our audio interface using our Apple USB 3.0 camera adapter into Playback. Now, with all that connected, we should be able to use our MIDI controller with Playback. Again, if it requires extra power, make sure to use the power adapter included with your MIDI controller. Now let's talk about what we do if our audio interface doesn't have a USB MIDI in or 5-pin MIDI in. In this case, we're going to have to use a powered USB hub to connect both our MIDI controller and audio interface to before we connect it to our iPad or iPhone. So let's get our USB hub connected to our camera adapter. So first thing I'm going to do is connect power for my USB hub to the USB hub. Then I want to connect the USB cable that came with our USB hub first to the hub, and then to our USB 3.0 camera adapter. Now, before we plug in our adapter to our device, we want to connect both our MIDI controller and our audio interface to the hub. So I'm going to take my USB cable and connect one end to my MIDI controller, and then plug the other end into one of the ports on my USB powered hub. And then same thing with my audio interface. Connect one end of the USB cable to the audio interface and the other end to the powered USB hub. Now again, a reminder, if your audio interface or your MIDI controller requires extra power, make sure to connect the power adapter to both of those before proceeding. Now with both of these connected to the camera adapter, we want to now connect that to our device. Now the beauty of this setup and using the USB 3.0 camera adapter is it's going to allow us to connect our hub and power our iPad or iPhone at the same time. Using the hub is going to allow us to connect our audio interface as well as our MIDI controller at the same time as well. Now for more information about Playback or to start a 30-day free trial of Playback Premium, make sure to head to MultiTracks.com/playback. If you have any other questions that weren't answered in this video, make sure to head to MultiTracks.com/support. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care.